Alright guys, Barrister Onyedikachi Ifedi, one of the lawyers representing the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB Nnamdi Kanu, has described the December 15, 2023 judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria against Kanu as legal nullity and judiciary mutiny against the Constitution and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. In a statement issued on Thursday, Ifedi said the ruling of the Appeals Court, including remittance of Kanu's trial to the Federal High Court, Abuja, on repealed charges, not only violated the principle of stare the diocese, but also stripped Kanu of protections guaranteed under both Nigeria and international law. Record that on December 15, 2023, a five-man panel of the Supreme Court delivered its judgment in Federal Government versus Nnamdi Kanu. According to Ifedi, the panel, in one breath, stripped Kanu of every protection guaranteed under the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. This was not merely a miscarriage of justice, it was a judiciary mutiny against the Constitution, the African Charter, and binding a precedent, the lawyer said. He insisted that the judgment contravened an earlier precedent set in General Sani Abacha and others versus Chief Gani in 2000, where a seven-man constitutional panel of the Appeals Court held that the African Charter domesticated through the African Charter ratification and enforcement act was enforceable in Nigeria and stood on the same pedestal as Chapter 5 of the 1999 Constitution. Ifedi said a similar panel is bound by the decision of a larger panel, noting that in Oladeko versus military governor of Oyo State in 1996, its NWLR in bracket PT 467 in brackets 387 hierarchy within the same court is determined by panel size. Larger panel decisions prevail. Any Nigerian law policy or act of the state consistent with the chapter's provisions is void. This decision is binding law under the doctrine of shared diocese. A similar panel of the Supreme Court is bound by it. Only an equal or larger panel can depart from it, he said. Ifedi argued that the Supreme Court held in denying Kanu the chapter's explicit protection against extraordinary rendition, torture, and inhuman treatment. The five-man panel in Federal Government versus Kanu ignored Abacha versus Fenmi. It allowed a prosecution tainted by kidnapping and torture to proceed, an outcome expressly forbidden by the chapter and confirmed by the larger constitutional bench. This is not a mere error. It is a pen delivered in ignorance of binding law and thus a legal nullity, he declared. He added that discarding the African chapter amounted to violence to the Constitution itself, warning that no court of law can stand on such a foundation without becoming an engine of oppression. The lawyer warned of the far-reaching implications of allowing the decision to stand. If this precedent is allowed to stand, no Nigerian citizen will have meaningful human rights protections in cases involving state violence. The rule of law will be replaced by the rule of judiciary convenience. The Supreme Court's integrity will sink beneath the weight of its own lawlessness, he said. According to him, history will remember the case not as law, but as a, a monument to judiciary betrayal. The day the Supreme Court of Nigeria broke its own oath and buried the African chapter alongside the Constitution. Kanu has been in the custody of the Department of State Service (DSS) since June 2021 after he was seized in Kenya and brought back to Nigeria under circumstances his lawyers described as extraordinary rendition. In October 2022, the Court of Appeal discharged him of all charges, ruling that his rendition was unlawful. However, the Nigerian government appealed, and on December 15, 2023, the Supreme Court set aside the Court of Appeal decision, allowing his trial to resume despite international condemnation. Right groups have repeatedly urged the Nigerian authority to release Kanu, citing violations of due processes, including international law and his deteriorating health condition. Ifedi maintained that the Supreme Court judgment is void for failure to adhere to stale decisions. This is and for arroganting to a five-man panel the unlawful power to overturn the decision of a seven-man constitutional bench. The truth is that we don't have jurisdiction. We don't have a judiciary in Nigeria anymore. With what is happening today, forget about it. Yes, it seems that these people, they are lost. I'm telling you the truth. They are lost. They don't even know what they are doing. Whether they know Abina just wicked, now they try to pay Nigerians. No, only God, go really talk as this matter be. It's really very unfair that this is where we are today. So guys, I'm dropping it here. Drop a comment below the comment section. Share this video, make it go viral so that Nigerians go to understand how the matter they be. It is not a good one. Today, Nigeria is being referred as a lawless state. Out there, they know they give us respect again. You understand? Nigeria is being referred as a lawless state.